Waking up here every morning is really fascinating. It's bright, you hear the roosters, and I look up and I stare at the bedroom beams, and I'm constantly reminded at how long this house has been here for and how many people have enjoyed it.
The history is everywhere you look here, and you can feel it, and it's, for me, it's very special.
I'm Justin.
And I'm Mark.
And we are here at our home in Hampton, Connecticut. Mark and I met in Boston. I was working as a freelance fashion stylist, and we were doing a story about men about town and sort of notable figures on the Boston social scene.
Notable.
Mark was one of the notables, and he came to set, and he was so stiff. I had him in this beautiful tuxedo, and the photographer and I were struggling. Like, we gotta get this guy to move. And we put on MC Hammer, and we said, you have to dance. Like, you have to dance.
Hammer time. I'm supposed to hammer time?
In a tuxedo. And he did. And he was a great sport about it. And it just kind of stuck with me. And we reconnected a few months later. And that was 10 years ago. While we were in New York, I had left my job in fashion publishing and started working at a startup. At the same time, Mark was sort of reaching a point in his decade-long career event planning where he was feeling a little burnt out by it. And we both had this shared desire to just get out of the city and funnel our creative energies into something other than work. And for me, that meant building a pottery studio and really focusing on my craft.
I had done hobby woodworking since I was a teenager. I do a lot of cutting boards and custom items.
And I am a potter and a florist, and we also do event styling work together. We actually had looked at a house probably 2 or 3 towns over. We loved it online, thought it was gonna be perfect for us, went to go see it, and it was a disaster when we got there. I was super defeated, I was ready to go home, and the realtor said he had one more house to show us. We came to see this house, and that was it. That kind of sealed the deal. So it was a happy accident.
The house was built in 1820 in the Georgian style with the hip roof and the double chimneys. When we started the renovation, we needed to get some more history on the house to make sure that we were staying true to its spirit. So Justin did a lot of research at our local town hall.
The house was actually built first as a shop in 1815 by a man named Joseph Abbott. The house itself was added onto that shop and sold to the Pearl family in 1820. In fairly recent history, the house belonged to a woman named Muriel Hall. She owned the house in the 70s and into the 90s. She was a magazine editor who lived in New York, which was my story, essentially.
The exterior is very much fully intact with the exception of just some trim work around the front door that was replaced. My goal in life in this house is to retain these windows. It's probably for me the most important aspect of the house, and it's usually the first thing to go when people move into a house like this. They all have most of their original glass. I mean, obviously over the years, panes break, but even when I have to replace a pane of glass, I go to a restoration supply company and I buy old windows and I harvest glass from those windows to put it back into these. I remember we took the storm windows off the house to paint it. And the neighbor across the street asked me what we did to the house because it's been transformed. There's something different, but she couldn't put her finger on it. And it was that suddenly you could see all of the beautiful waviness in the glass. And the glass reads as very, very black from outside. You can't replicate that in a modern window.
The first time we stepped foot into the actual house, it was freezing cold. The air hadn't been working. I don't think the water was running at all.
There were no utilities.
No utilities. It was bought at foreclosure. So we were kind of wandering, and pretty quickly all of that faded away, and we were looking at these gorgeous old hardwood floors, the beams, the windows, which are all original. There's a stately front door that we don't actually use, and that's because you pull through the driveway and it spits you out into the small little receiving area. There's a patio, and then there's the kitchen door. So for us, that's really the front door. We really bought the house with the intention of it remaining a weekend house. Once COVID hit, we decamped out here. We felt safe here. It felt like the right place to sort of ride it out, whatever that meant at the time. What we didn't realize is that we would never go back. And I think after about two or three months of being out here full time, we made the decision to cut the cord from the city, and that really, I think, kicked off the next chapter for us in this house.
The things about this house that we could forgive on a weekend really changed when we were here full time. And we realized that there were some things that had to be done with more of a sense of urgency than what we had initially planned for.
The biggest project in the house was certainly the kitchen. It had double islands when we bought it, and we wanted to maintain those.
All the support underneath had collapsed, and the kitchen floors were just floating over nothing. So Justin had like a moment where he jumped off the counter and almost went through the floor.
There had been so much warping that the hardwood floors wouldn't actually lay flat anymore, so we had to figure out a new floor. We wanted to maybe modernize that part of the house a little bit. We wanted to bring the function up to match how we were going to use it, so we went with this really beautiful rough edge limestone. We wanted it to feel like we weren't in, a brand new kitchen. It also meant we picked a stone for the islands that was a leather finish. It doesn't have that high shine, and I think that helps bring it back to the historical appreciation we have for where we are. So with this as the oldest part of the house, it's certainly seen the most transformation over time. Still has some weird details though.
Like this cabinet that goes to nowhere.
Yeah, maybe we'll put a mural back here one day or something, but I kind of love it. Off of the kitchen, there is a bathroom with a clawfoot tub. As you leave the kitchen, there is a laundry room, which has since been converted into a pantry. We found out that before it was a laundry room, it actually belonged to a Polish refugee who lived with one of the previous owners, and she lived here for decades, and that was her little bedroom, which we could not believe.
In our updates, we've really tried to keep the original spirit of the house fully intact. Most everything is exactly how we found it, just cleaned and repaired.
The dining room is one of, if not my favorite rooms in the house. It has those gorgeous hand-painted floral frescoes.
Even in the condition they were in, it was something that I never expected to find.
The realtor tried to tell us, oh, don't worry about it. They're a little cracked, they're falling apart. You can cover them up, no problem. And Mark and I looked at each other and sort of gave the eyes, like, what is this guy talking about? These are gorgeous. And I think that was one of the first moments that we started to feel this was really going to be our house. As you leave the dining room, you pass through the main hallway. It's where the front door is, and you continue on into the living room, which is where we are now. My favorite part about this room is that it is the perfect balance between formal and informal. It's a place that we can sit and talk with friends by the fire and just enjoy each other's company, but it's also a place where we can plop down on the couch and watch TV and feel completely relaxed. As you climb the stairs, you cross a hallway to go into our bedroom, which is pretty open, especially in a house this age. Mark had the genius idea of putting the bed low. It was genius, of putting the bed low to the floor. It floats in the center of the room. It's by the fireplace. It's the best way to fall asleep in the winter. As you leave the primary bedroom, you cross a hallway and you enter the first guest bedroom, which is the room that really, I think, sold us on the house.
This wallpaper, they say not to buy a house over paint color, but you bought a house for wallpaper.
I did. It's got that amazing red and white fall wallpaper on it. It really was that perfect match of a more formal, decorative flourish with these rough floors and beams and the fireplace in there. There was just such a great tension, and I think that's really our design style in one room.
We'd already been having a 12 moment in the city, so it was a great extension of that.
Mark had been doing all this research on historic New England homes, and he kept turning up these images of old twin beds, and we were really inspired by that. And there is a long, strange, skinny room. So we turned it into a second guest room with two twin beds, and they mirror each other so we can squeeze an extra two people in on the weekends. And then you enter into our office where we send out pottery and cutting boards, and we try to make it aesthetically pleasing in the meantime, so that because it is a pass-through to the only bathroom up there, we still want it to be nice and cozy. When we bought the house, we knew there were a few structures. There was the house, there was a small little shed behind the house, and there is a cabin in the woods that has a fire pit. What we didn't know is there was also a barn on site, which has since become Mark's wood shop. And we have since added 2 chicken coops, and we converted that shed into my pottery studio.
I was most surprised to find that this home had originally been a wood shop. It's a strange feeling to think that somebody had the same interests as I do. It really felt like coming full circle for me.
There was this kind of interesting connection that started to form, and that for me was kind of a big eye-opener, in that creativity has been in this house for so long. That was something that, as we went on this journey of renovating it and making it our own, we wanted to bring to the forefront, and we really wanted to celebrate. Once we made some serious progress on the inside, I think we wanted to turn our focus to the outside. I personally had this draw to start gardening and to be out in nature. We cleared about a 1/4 acre of overgrown and poorly kept woods in order to make space for a cut flower garden.
Justin won some ribbons.
I did win some ribbons at the county fair. Last year I entered some flowers and some floral arrangements for the first time, and I won Best in Class in the floral category, which was incredibly exciting. What I love most about the home is that it changes with every season. It's a home that works regardless of the time of year, and there are certain rituals that we have that match each season, which to me feel special and feel unique to us. We really do see ourselves as, I think, stewards of this house. It's been around for 200 years. There are a lot of hands that will touch it. We hope that we're here to just prolong that and make sure there are many hands to touch it after us.